Thanks for choosing the Flint Strike. Here's a little about it. The Great Depression was the deepest and longest-lasting economic decline in the history of the Western industrialized world, lasting from 1929 to 1939. 13 to 15 million Americans nationwide were unemployed, and those who were employed did whatever they could to keep their jobs and a steady pay. That was achieved by creating unions as well as creating labor strikes. It's hard to believe that anyone would risk their job in an economy like the Great Depression's by making demands, but at General Motors plant in Flint, Michigan, employees were desperate to achieve a better work environment. The working conditions at the plant were unbearable. Temperatures ran more than 100 degrees within the factory for a week during one July, and the bosses at a number of plants refused to slow down or stop the production line, leading to the deaths of hundreds of workers in 4 days. There were no safety requirements and no medical help on site, leading to the loss of fingers, hands, and lives. There was no compensation for the injuries or for the family members that were killed. The workers suffered from unfair pay, layoffs, and arbitrary firing, while having the ceaseless pressure to speed up the production line that left the workers exhausted and ill. Even with the current economy, the workers were fed up with the treatment of their employers. December 30th, 1936, brought the start to what can be referred to as the most significant strike in American labor history, the Flint Strike. Those employed at the General Motors plant took the initiative to fight for recognition of their union, the United Auto Workers. The UAW was a new industrial union of the largest auto company and one of the largest private employers in the United States, General Motors. The purpose of the UAW was to keep their members' jobs from going to non-union workers, as well as establishing a fair minimum wage scale and a set of procedures that would help protect assembly line workers from injury. The strike began with employees sitting inside the factory, preventing others from working their jobs and stopping GM production. General Motors decided to shut the heat off in the factory as a tactic to persuade strikers to evacuate the building. But the strikers fought on with coats, blankets, and food delivered by family members and supporters within the community. On January 11, 1937, police tried to cut off the strikers' food supply. This resulted in a riot known as the Battle of the Running Bulls. 16 workers and 11 policemen were injured because car parts and water from fire hoses were launched at police from inside the plant, and law enforcement fired bucket shots and tear gas at the strikers. The strike had spread from the single GM plant in Flint, Michigan to the second Flint location, as well as GM plants in Atlanta, Kansas City, and Cleveland. These strikers and members of the United Auto Worker Union were now reducing their demands to GM, recognizing the UAW as the sole bargaining agent for workers, and on February 11, 1937, was the day that General Motors finally gave in to recognizing the UAW, and the strike was brought to an end. The initial strike had set an example for other industries and workers nationwide. Sit-down strikes spread from the auto industry to other industries, such as laundries and cigar factories. Historians have credited the strike with changing conditions and wages for working people across the nation, and was commented on as the strike that was heard around the world. Thanks for watching my video on the Flint Strike. For more topics from economics, click here. Or you could check out other topics like politics, social issues, and the arts.